Welcome back to our Owls Walk. What a crazy week it's been for Sheffield Wednesday. Just another week in the life of an average Wednesday fan. We're talking about the fallout from the forum, the loss at Leeds. AI is going to predict all Sheffield Wednesday's away fixtures. How many points will the Owls pick up, and will it be enough to sneak into the top six? And who's the worst ever Sheffield Wednesday striker you've ever seen in your lifetime? Last week, the good group put Ola Tidman in goal. It's just back up this worst ever Sheffield Wednesday 11. Stay to the end of the video because they're going to be picking the worst ever strikers. Let us know if they get that right. Welcome, Matt, Glyn, and Tom back with us, and our guest is James. Thank you, James, for joining us. It's been I can't even find the right word for the week for Sheffield Wednesday. James, kick us off. What's from that forum? What was the most bizarre thing that you heard coming out of that for you?
Well, I don't know where we start. Like you said, I think it's not been so bad lately because Mr. Chansiri, I don't think, has been in the country, so I think he's been kept quiet. But obviously, it didn't take long for that to change, and I think we all saw this coming. I think that the fact that he still calls customers, or the fans, customers, is slightly worrying. And I think the bit where he said, "If you don't want to come, don't come," then, which I say he apologised for, but I think he was clearly advised you need to address that. So that was probably the most concerning bit in terms of the relationship breakdown between fans, staff, the manager, and himself at the club. It's a complete mess.
Pretty much everything. And we haven't heard any Chansiri out chants or banners. They've kind of disappeared. We haven't had tennis balls for a while. But, of course, very quickly from Wednesday night onwards, it was back. Matt, what was we were laughing about it, but actually there's some really serious, concerning things said in that 3 or 4 hours, wasn't there? What was the most concerning for you?
There was 6.5 hours, Mark. So there's quite a bit to sift. It's quite a bit to sift through. I think the most concerning, rather than it being like one official statement or line that's come out of it, I think the most concerning thing is there is clearly deep-rooted issues which seem at this point in time insolvable between the two major parties at the football club, in the manager and the owner. Now, we're talking speculation. Chansiri confirmed that there had been an approach from Southampton for Danny Röhl, which we'd all anticipated and suspected. I think any Sheffield Wednesday fan is kidding themselves if they don't think that Danny Röhl would have wanted to take that opportunity. I think the club have, one of the few things I agree with that the club have done, and from the club I mean the chairman's perspective, stood firm to the reported 5 million asking figure. Southampton haven't paid it. Since then, there has been, by the sound of it, a complete breakdown in communication between both sides of things. Neither side, as we said last week, Mark, neither side is truly, really lying in this. Chansiri hasn't spoken to Danny Röhl. Danny Röhl hasn't spoken to Chansiri, but Danny Röhl has passed on transfer targets to the recruitment team at Hillsborough, who is as close to Chansiri as you can get in the Amadou Pakshau. He's his right-hand man. He has been since he first walked in. So the truth is somewhere in the middle, neither of whom are exactly lying. Ultimately, the biggest loser in all of this is us, the fans. We are, as you rightly said at the top of the podcast, we're 4 points outside the playoffs. After the events of this weekend, I really don't want to go back to being all negative here, Mark, because it has been very positive in the past couple of weeks.
Great,
I genuinely, Mark, I'm looking at it and thinking it's 13 points to safety. There's always one side that drops like a stone from the middle of the table. At the moment, if you had a bet on which is the club that is the most unstable in that portion of teams, it's us, straight up. It's just what a mess it has been. Everybody just needs to, at this point in time in the club, just stop talking and get on with it.
It would have been a welcome distraction, I think, to go to the Leeds game, Glyn, and play some football. I think my favourite one out of all of it was Josh Windass, who came out afterwards and said, "I've been here long enough. Just a typical day at Sheffield Wednesday. Absolutely spot on."
That in itself is very, very. It's funny to laugh at, but the outside it's very worrying because it just sets the picture. And actually, in terms of January transfers, which we, well, who knows what's going on with that? Who would want to look at that and go, "Yeah, I want to go there"? Because before all this, to go and to go and play under Danny Roll, to go and be coached as a club and as a player, I think it's quite appealing. Shay Charles, James Beadle, I think there's an appetite from clubs and the players themselves to probably come and join us. Now I'm not so sure, and I think that's it's very concerning.
Yeah, good point. Glyn, let's talk about Shay Charles for a second, can we? Because the last point of that forum just before midnight was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in a fans forum, where he picks up his phone and went, "Oh yeah, Southampton have called. They want him back. Good night, all."
It was no coincidence. I don't think, to be honest. I certainly think somebody was watching it from the club, whether it be their chairman or whoever, and for Chansiri to say, yeah, he's all right. He's a good player, but he's all right, and he's not in the Premier League. He'll not play for Southampton. He's not that good, and straight away I think, well, all right, if that's what you think of him, we'll have him back. We'll send him somewhere else.
Yeah.
Shay Charles is by far the best loan player, the best player is fantastic, and he's been outstanding for us and dictated that midfield. And it's looking very, very likely that he's gone. It'll be a massive miss for us.
Yeah, we don't want to spend all 20 minutes of this particular episode talking about it, but Tom, I mean, I've seen some of your tweets this week, which have been hilarious. But what's your take on all of this been?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was 6 hours long, and I think that was just his cigarette breaks. To be honest, I mean, he was up and out, and then, but yeah, to end it on Shay Charles leaving is just ridiculous, especially how he started it, saying he was going to stay. But I think now we've just got to hope that we can get someone in January. But as Matt mentioned, and the others did as well, not speaking to Danny, it's not a good look, especially for the end of the season. Hopefully we can just do all right. We're looking at the playoffs, and now it's just kind of just stay, have a bit of stability.
Okay. Let's have a quick chat about the Leeds game. We are recording this, of course, before the midweek game against Bristol City. So, of course, you will be watching this by the time that game is done. So, I know Leeds is old news, James, but what was your view on it? Oh, I'll skip that one. A DRB says, I'm not even massively unhappy with the performance. The scoreline flatters Leeds, just the same old problems in front of goal, zero ruthlessness, and not nearly clinical enough to compete at the top of this league. Is that a fair enough assessment for you?
Yeah, I think so. From seeing what I saw of the game, I thought there's not many games this year that I think we've played terrible. Maybe a few near the beginning of the season after the Plymouth game. I think we were in it. We just missed chances at key times, and that's where we struggle. We don't have that bit of quality in the final third. And let's be honest, looking at Leeds, they've got Premiership players not only in the team. I'd argue even better players on the bench to come off, which is where they make the difference. And once they got the second, that was it. But we don't help ourselves. I think for the third goal, which was a nice flick, Ugbo standing there playing him onside. I think at 1-0 he misses a glaring opportunity with a header, and I think that sums him up this season. In fact, actually, he's a contender for the worst ever striker at the moment. But we'll come on to that.
To that in a minute. Okay, right.
Yeah, exactly. I thought we played quite well. We took the game to a lot of their fans. Actually said actually one of the better teams come to Ellen Road, but unfortunately, like a lot of our home games this season, we don't finish teams off, and we let them back in it, and we drop a lot of points. So I think that's where we're at the moment.
Matt, you were there. I managed to watch the first half before the pub in near Goodison switched over to the Sky coverage of the game, which is annoying. But in the first half, I thought you were amazing. I actually thought you were the better side, and actually took it to Leeds. I didn't think Leeds were impressive at all, apart from the goal. What was your view of it?
Yeah, no, the first half we were really good. I thought we were dominant in both possession, only just, but we were dominant in possession and territory without having a cutting edge up top. Second half, I think the game probably went more to form in terms of we dropped into a back five with Shay Charles filling in when we were out of possession and then trying to jump into the midfield, and Leeds started to get on top. James pointed out there was a glaring chance, which I think I have defended Ike Ugbo on it in terms of I think it's past him before he knows what to do. I think you should have a player at the back post, but ultimately that is just a summation of him. It is literally, I cannot stress that you couldn't fit a fag paper between him and the ball, and it still manages to miss him and go, like screaming out. And of course, from that, Leeds go up the other end and score. On a scoreline, if you just looked at the scoreline, it says 3-0. You'd think it was a battering. If you actually watch the game, it wasn't the case. But I can't sit here and argue, Mark. Over the course of 2 games, we've been beaten 5-0 against Leeds, and they've taken 6 points off us. So you won't get me as a Sheffield Wednesday fan sat here going, do you know what? We deserve this. We deserve that. Yeah. Now, if you get beat 5-0 over 2 games, you just need to shut up and take it, to be perfectly honest with you. Ultimately, the difference between the 2 sides was the nature of clinical finishes in the final third when the opportunities came yesterday. And that's the tale of the tape.
Okay. We did ask our Sheffield United fans on their podcast whether they would celebrate a Wednesday winner in that game. They actually would cheer it. Not a single one of them said yes. Every single one of them said under no circumstances would we ever cheer a Sheffield Wednesday goal, even if it was to send us up, which just shows me again just how much hatred there is.
Good. The feeling's mutual, Mark.
And I'm sure you're looking forward to.
Leeds went top.
Okay. Right then. Yes, let's look at Bristol City then, as we said, midweek, which we can't yet discuss, and then a trip to QPR then this weekend. Glyn, how do you see this one going?
It'll be an interesting one, to be honest. I think we've got Bristol that are just above us and QPR that are just below us. So it depends on which Sheffield Wednesday turns up. What happens between now and then? There's a lot of, again, like we mentioned earlier, a lot of things happening inside the club that we can't hear and can't see. I know talking about another protest. I don't agree with them on match days. I think just see the season out and either boycott or do something that's going to affect Chancery directly, not the players and not the club. But that's just my opinion. So it depends which Sheffield Wednesday turn up on the day. I think if we play just like we did against Leeds and manage to get a shot on target, which was the difference, I think we've got every chance. So I'd take 4 points over the next 2 games.
Okay. Bristol City are terrible away from home. They've lost the last 4. However, QPR, Tom, are on the up. They have won the last 5 straight home games and are the form team in the league. If you look at home games, so this ain't going to be easy, is it?
Yeah, well, I mean, based on that, we'll lose to Bristol and beat QPR. But yeah. I think those 2 are kind of just a real test to see where we're at. I think if 2 teams around us, if we beat them or put in some good performances, you can think, maybe we can push for the playoffs. But if we drop points or we put in a couple bad performances, then it's just settling for mid-table, I think, really.
Okay. We did ask AI to predict all Sheffield Wednesday's home games last week. If you didn't see that, go and look at last week's video. This week, we asked you to look at all the away fixtures that you've got and all the miles that Matt and others have got left to do this season. You must feel like giving up, Matt, do you, a little bit and saving some money?
I'll tell you what, Mark, I'm not looking forward to QPR with the first game without Shea Charles because he is so important to the way we play, and all of a sudden we're going to have to come up with a new formation. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Let's have a quick look at what it said. Oh, my alignment's gone a little bit. Yes, it said you'd be a draw at QPR. Following that, you'd then lose to West Brom, getting draws against Swansea and Burnley. 2 wins to come on the road at Plymouth and Cardiff. A draw at Norwich, and then 3 losses to end the season at Blackburn, Stoke and Watford. So what's that? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. Would you take that, James, if I offered you 10 points away from home between now and the end of the season?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I think weirdly we have been better away from home than at home this year. We've shown some sort of resilience to grind results out when actually we always seem to go a goal down, which I find really bizarre and frustrating. And I think that was the hope yesterday in that Leeds game, and frustration at the same time, is that we went a goal down very early, and then actually, like you said, we were the better team probably in that first half, but we kicked ourselves in the foot as I come back to. But 10 points sounds okay. I think I think a draw at QPR this weekend. They're a bit resurgent. They've got that defender from Southampton on loan who I hear is actually organising things quite well there, and their results are certainly picking up as part of that.
Okay. Well, listen, we all hope the results don't start going down the pan, because as soon as a good offer comes in for Danny, he'll be off, or he might just jack it anyway and said, I've had enough of this nonsense. And sorry, fans, but who could blame him with the way things have been going? Long live Danny Roll. We've also this month been asking for your worst ever Sheffield Wednesday side. We started last week by asking the team to put in their worst ever goalkeeper. Tom and Matt decided on the end on Ola Tidman as the worst ever goalkeeper they've ever seen. So this week we're asking for strikers. So you can help with this, please, in the comments below. What's the worst ever striker you've seen at Sheffield Wednesday in this Championship era? We'll come to League One a little bit as well, 20 years. Glyn, can you kick this off for us, please, this week with one name of who deserves to be up there? I think I'm going to ban Ugbo being in it, if that's okay.
I will. I'd absolutely not say Ugbo anyway. To be honest, I do think he'll turn it on, but I'm not going to go generic. I'm not going to go pretty recently. I think some other guys will go there, but I'm going to say Kim Olsen. It was about 7 foot. Couldn't head a ball, couldn't kick a ball, couldn't pass a ball, couldn't tackle, and definitely couldn't score. So he's the one. He's the one up front for me.
Okay, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, how long you got? I think, there's a few, but I'll go most recently. I think Jordan Rhodes for 10 million. That basically gave us a points deduction as well. So pretty much relegated us. And then apart from a hat trick, one game, basically didn't do anything the whole few years. So yeah,
that is a good shout. Actually, must be the worst striker that gets you points deduction. James.
Well, I was going Kim Olsen because he's the one that stood out. There's another one.
Literally as well.
I don't know. I'm gonna go for a player that I actually quite liked in a way, but he was frustrating, and I think everyone quite liked him because how bad he was in a way, but wanted him to do well. Gerald Seabom. He would miss. I like Seabom, but he would miss a lot, and ultimately he was a player that was signed for okay money in the Premiership, and he didn't do a job, and then was even worse in the Championship. So, he's my pick.
Some good shouts so far. Right, Matt, finish this off for us.
I am absolutely baffled that I have got 3 people sat on this panel and not one of them has said Francis Jeffers, Leon Clark or Jay Bothroyd. I am baffled.
Those are the 3 I was saving as well.
Take Mark, out of those 3, take your pick. All is equally bad. Francis Jeffers couldn't hit a barn door for us. I know he was prolific, obviously, at yourselves, what a mess. Leon Clark, his biggest thing was scoring a leading goal against Crystal Palace, kicking the advertising board and breaking his toe and having to get hooked. And Jay Bothroyd, the less said about him and his off-field matters at the time, the better. I think he scored 1 goal for us, and he'd come in with this massive reputation from Cardiff, but by all accounts and intents and purposes, what an idiot. What an idiot. Let's put it nicely.
Okay. I'm going to struggle picking 2 from there. So, viewers, we need your help here. Who's the worst 2 that we need to stick? We need to go with a 5 up front, don't we? Any counts?
I don't worry about. There's plenty of other crap as well. Don't worry about that.
How long you got?
Good. Next week, then we're also going to review the game of the weekend, and we're going to put our back line together. So put the worst ever defenders in there and get thinking, because with this team, don't forget, we'll need a manager in a couple of weeks as well. So get thinking about the worst ever manager. We won't do worst ever chairman, because I'm pretty sure
we'll need an assistant manager as well, goalkeeper coach, everything.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much for watching. Times are tough for Wednesday fans, but keep smiling, enjoy the football, and thank you for all your support. To drop us a subscribe if you haven't done so. We'll love to hit 100 by the end of January. That's our target. Thank you so much for doing it. We've only been going a short time compared to other podcasts, so everyone has to start somewhere. Thank you for supporting that. Enjoy the games, you lot. Safe travels to QPR if you're heading down to London this weekend, and we'll see you in 7 days' time. Have a good one.